Now, all the Christians watching us.
That's you and you and you and you and you.
And even the atheists and the...
That's you. Hello and welcome back to the Croak and Croak podcast. I am Spencer Cartier.
I am Linus Van Pelt.
Linus Van Pelt, and this here is Frank Von Frank. Wearing the same bow all December. All December
Fourth try.
Long.
You told me we can't make it work.
Wait, what's your name?
Linus.
What is that?
Charlie Brown.
Christmas?
Well, Christmas. Oh, I had to be a Christmas person. Yeah.
Linus Von Brown.
Linus is very important in the Christmas, Merry Christmas, Charlie Brown.
Sure.
The Charlie Brown tree.
Okay.
Yeah, so good save there.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're going to go through all December without making yourself a Christmas name. How's it going, everybody? Good to finally be back. Fresh week. Yeah. Fresh face. Fresh attitude.
So fresh.
Do people still say that? You're so fresh.
I don't think so. I don't know. But it used to mean if especially a child was being sassy and back at you.
Yeah. Oh, you're so fresh.
Yeah.
I ought to smack you in the face. Well, since we're thinking back in the old days.
Yeah.
But childhood.
Yeah. Linus. Which one is he? Do you know?
Linus. Is he the one with the glasses that plays the piano?
No, that's Schroeder.
Linus.
Schroeder.
Linus. He's not the one that smells.
No, that's Pigpen.
Yeah. He's is it the one black hair wears blue?
Black hair wears blue?
Does he wear blue? Is it like Charlie Brown's big friend?
I don't know if he wears blue.
No. What does he wear? Is Charlie Brown's like best friend? Is it the brother of the girl that likes Charlie Brown?
It is Lucy's brother.
Okay.
Lucy Van Pelt.
Wait, does he carry around a blanket?
Yeah.
I'm not that old.
Linus carries around the blanket.
I'm not that old. I'm not that young. That's what I meant.
It's not that. Yeah.
It's not that old. I'm not that young.
You're not.
Yeah. I know.
Maybe you know it like ironically, like Gen Z. Like,
yeah.
Oh my God, let's look up this Peanuts thing.
Yeah, it's like real. Like it's like watching the Flintstones.
Yeah.
I like the Flintstones.
It's funny. I was looking at the box of Cocoa Pebbles, and I thought.
Not that we have sugar cereal in our house.
And it was in the store.
Yeah, it must have been.
I was running past it, screaming. No, I was knocking them off the shelf because I didn't want.
We only have. There was one episode where we talked about a religious cereal.
Oh yeah.
It's like a Bible verse.
Oh gosh, what was it? It was a literal Bible verse.
Yeah.
Yeah, about grains and nuts or something. I was looking at the Cocoa Pebbles and Fruity Pebbles, Cocoa Pebbles. Is that the only thing? But it's the Flintstones.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, I'm sure lots of kids know Cocoa Pebbles or Fruity Pebbles, but they don't really know like what. Who is that original? Like, I don't think they were really like, oh, that was a show.
It's like they almost associate it the way we associate like Toucan Sam with Fruit Loops.
Yeah, it's just a serial character.
It's just a caveman on the Pebbles box.
Right. But when it was made, it was probably like, of course, people were so familiar with the cartoon, they wanted to capitalize on it.
Bonnie.
Yeah.
And then what was the main guy's name? Fred Flintstone. Duh.
Fred and
I'm not that young.
Barney and Betty.
And
Bam Bam and Pebbles. And Dino.
The whole gang.
And I can't think of the boss's name who worked in the quarry.
Yeah, with it was like the cranes were the dinos.
Yeah. But Linus, wait, it's Advent.
Oh, no. Oh, wow. It's Darth Vader.
There's your Advent something.
Happy Advent. A little dark for Advent. You'd think you'd get one of the heroes. Try me. Push button.
Sounds like he's sleeping.
That's funny. I like it.
It sounds like he's sleeping.
Thank you. It'll go nicely right here.
Croak and Crow and Darth Vader. That's your Advent. Linus, he actually does. Charles Schulz created the Peanuts, and that's where everything we're talking about, Charlie Brown and the Great Pumpkin and everything. And he said Linus was his theologian, his He's a deep thinker.
Yeah, he was. Wait, was Linus the one in the Great Pumpkin who stayed with the pumpkin?
Who stayed believing in it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so Linus has blonde hair.
I don't remember what kind of hair he has.
Maybe I should just stop talking until I get.
Maybe he has the strings.
Nah, I'm pretty sure he has blonde hair.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
I think I was thinking. Wait, there's a girl in Charlie Brown who has black hair, and
Lucy has black
blue,
hair,
and she wears blue.
Charlie's sister doesn't she have blonde hair?
She does. She's like the one that always tries to get involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sally or something. I don't know. But
Sally sells seashells down
in
by the seashore.
the Charlie Brown Christmas, Charlie Brown in the play, I believe, he says, does anybody know the Christmas story? Because I don't. And Linus is the one that comes up, and he reads Luke too, basically, but off the top of his head.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's that. But today is not Christmas.
Spit take.
Don't you dare. Today is the Feast of the Immaculate Conception.
Immaculate Conception. That's a church we used to go to.
You're right.
And I believe last year, in this day of this episode, I said the same thing. Will I find that? No.
You can't go to December 8th?
No.
The Feast of the Immaculate Conception, which is confusing to people because when you hear of the Immaculate Conception, what do you think about?
I think about Mary becoming pregnant with young Jesus through no fault of her own.
That's what a lot of people think, and it's wrong.
What? But it's a conception that's immaculate.
It's wrong.
You're wrong. Loose facts.
I have real facts this time, because the reason why I know it's wrong is because I was so confused. I knew December 8th was a holy day. This is a holy day of obligation. If you're Catholic, you have to go to church today. So let's pause this and go, and we'll come back.
Okay. And we're back. That was fun.
Yeah. So the Feast of the Immaculate Conception. So I'm reading it, and they're saying, oh, this is the Immaculate Conception of Mary. And then in 9 months, you will celebrate the Nativity of Mary when Mary was born. So on September 8th, remember we had a confusion on September 8th.
Oh, wait. So it was when Mary, when Mary's mother was pregnant with Mary.
St. Anne.
St. Anne.
Now she had Mary in the normal way with her husband, but Mary was conceived without sin. Mary wasn't just a good person on earth. Mary was in a baby. She was faultless.
Faultless baby.
It is the Immaculate Conception, means the conception of Mary. The virgin birth refers to Jesus being, conceived just through God. And I went to Catholic school for 10 years. Okay. So I had to have known this. I think it's just one of the things that went out of my mind. There's no way I could have escaped knowing this. But today I was like, what?
I'm baffled. I didn't even know I didn't even know we knew the name of Mary's mother.
Well, I didn't know that. St. Anne. So, cut that out. I wonder if that's where that saying came up. Cut that out.
Cut it out.
Cut it out.
Cut it out.
Probably not. It's probably around forever. Before this podcast. So it's the Feast of the Immaculate Conception. Now, all the Christians watching us.
That's you and you and you and you and you.
And even the atheists and
that's you.
The Jews
and you.
And the Muslims.
And just kidding.
Guess what? They will all tell you, they will line up all the Catholics and they will say to them, you made that up about Mary being conceived without sin. It's not in the Bible.
Prove it.
They'll say it's not in the Bible. Where did we get our information?
For secondhand sources.
Okay. Yeah. Inside sources like they have today still, right? Mm-hmm.
Oh, so I know somebody who knows somebody
who was there.
Knows St. Anne.
So everyone knows that Jesus was born without sin, the virgin birth, and not everyone, but the people who agree. Yeah. Catholics celebrate today, Feast of the Immaculate Conception, because Mary was conceived without sin. Other detractors will say, well, we're not on board with that, but have fun.
Okay.
Cut it out.
Cut it out.
Don't even spread that word.
Who cares? I think a big part of it is one big who cares. We care about Mary. We believe she was without fault. Yeah. Why not celebrate her faultless birth?
Right.
It's not too much of a stretch.
Right.
We're all following these branches out from Jesus.
Right.
and and what is in the Bible. You're not putting a random person on a pedestal and saying, oh, well, I bet they were born immaculately as well.
Right.
It's like you're saying, okay, we can all agree that biblically speaking, Mary was without fault. Is it a stretch to say she was born without fault? Like, I don't even really know what the meaning is to be like, oh, she was also conceived without fault. It's like, so it's not that big of, it's not something like, and so, hey, let's have a feast day, celebrate. We're going to be celebrating the most important Christian holiday, the birth of Jesus.
Right.
And why not a few weeks beforehand, whether or not there's strict facts, to be celebrating the birth of the one who was perfect enough to birth him.
That's right.
It's just a big old month of birthdays.
And we, on this channel, we read between the lines of...
Read between the lines?
The lines of the Bible. And we get meaning from it. And, and as we all talk about, the different translations. So what is... hay in this version is going to be straw in this version, is going to be grass in this version, and then people take roots and things, but really you just use divine intervention to get your meaning from it.
It's the Holy Spirit.
So
there it is. Try to catch it.
Holy Spirit.
There it
so
is.
The angel
Gabriel
came to Mary and said, "Blessed are you among women." And so the Catholics believe that it wasn't just somewhat blessed, and it wasn't just later in her life she became blessed. They're saying she was sent blessed.
You were born for this.
She was born for this.
You were born for this. And when were you born? On the Immaculate Conception.
December 8th, which is also the anniversary of Sierra's first back surgery.
Who's Sierra?
Sierra's a friend of the show that we prayed for when she had her back surgery. And we're still praying for Jill, we're still praying for Neve, and we're still praying for Kicking It With My Divas.
Praying for them all, and if anyone else needs prayers, you let us know.
Yes.
And we'll handle it. Old school.
Yeah. I'm ready.
You're ready, guys? It is Wednesday. Wow. Wednesday just comes like once a week. It's crazy. It's
Except on leap year. And then it comes twice a week.
It's like Old Faithful, Old Reliable. Is that the old geezer? Geyser? Old geezer.
Yeah, you're right. Geyser.
If I was to name a geyser, I'd name it the Old Geezer Geyser. Old Reliable.
Old Faithful.
Old Faithful.
Old Faithful.
It shoots off at the same time, like clockwork.
Right.
That's magic to me.
It is.
Like, because you know what? Like, it doesn't have a clock. It doesn't have a watch.
No.
It wasn't man-made.
No.
It's baffling.
It's not in the Bible.
Maybe it is. You know what? I think
the lost pages.
Numerology. The two things that I think, we still haven't had our astrology podcast, but one day we will.
The stars haven't been aligned yet for that to happen.
And what I always say about astrology is I believe somewhat in it, but I don't believe that the people who think they know it. You know what I mean? So I will never listen to a horoscope and say, well, today I'm going to meet someone new.
Okay.
But I do think there might be something there.
Influences.
Influences that we don't understand. The other two things that I find fascinating are numerology and
I love numerology.
Sacred geometry.
Yeah. Those
two things, I think, they're the secrets of the world locked in a language we don't speak.
Do you love blankets?
I do. I don't. You know what? I do. I think I really need to start treating myself better. No, because I was laying in bed yesterday and my pillows, they're just so dead. You ever have just dead pillows? Flat. And I had blankets folded in the closet, but I was just like, I'm a 6'4" guy, and I had just one little throw blanket that I'm trying to get in, and I'm laying on flat blankets, or I'm laying on flat pillows. I'm like, why am I doing this to myself? Like, I can go to Home Goods tomorrow, and I can have a full bed set that I'm sitting pretty, and it's like, what am I spending money at the local Wawa for when you sleep 1/3 of your entire life? And
Is that true?
If you don't, then it means you're not getting enough sleep.
Oh, okay.
Or too much. How about that?
You're about to do a sleep study.
About to do a sleep study.
And you're going to take your people on the journey to see what will happen.
You want to see the inside of a sleep study?
And
I'm going undercover. I'm going undercovers.
And it's not because you need a sleep study, but you are contributing to science.
To the world of science. Because, I believe in two things, and two things only. Science and religion. Anything else is hoopla. Mathematics, pooh. History, pooh.
Yeah.
History.
So wait. You didn't even ask why I asked you if you like blankets.
Oh, why did you wait, I didn't even introduce what day it is.
Oh.
It's Wednesday, guys, which means around these parts, this little podcast of ours that we're doing and we're enjoying to do, and we hope you enjoy as well. It is One Word Wednesday. All right? Got it? Capiche, as the Italians say. And on One Word Wednesday, we pick a word, any word. It's like a, come one, come all kind of thing.
Yeah.
Pick a word, any word. We're like a magician with words. We're word-magicians.
Mm-hmm.
And we use that word and we just try to bring it to life.
Yep.
We try to find some spiritual significance in it. We see if we can maybe use it as a metaphor for the inexplainable, being spiritual ideas such as heaven and the Lord. Or we just talk about, we might pick the word coffee and we'll just talk about how much we like coffee. Yeah. It can be as simple or as complex as we want it to be, because we run the show.
Right. And if it's a word in our life, that means it is touched by God, because everything in our life is touched by God.
Except for snakes.
They are touched by God. So did you wonder why I asked you if you like blankets?
Touched, you mean under the bottom of my heel? Like St. Patrick? Only way I'll touch a snake. Yeah, right. I'll never get close enough. Good for him.
Blankets.
Blanket
or blankets?
Wow. I love blankets.
And now does my character of the day make sense?
He has his little comfort blanket.
Comfort blanket or security blanket?
Security blanket.
We call it a security blanket, but you're calling it a comfort blanket.
I don't know why I said it. I think it was.
I think because you read The Giver.
Oh.
Because in The Giver, a comfort object.
Yeah. How do you know about The Giver? You still have never watched it. Tell me you watched it.
I was going to pretend that I watched it, because when I looked up security blanket, it said in The Giver, a comfort object is used as a term to refer to all comfort objects, imaginary creatures with funny names.
You don't need to explain to me what a comfort object is.
What is it?
It's so they have babies. It's The Giver, let's give this whole speech again. Giver, it's a very structured society. If anything, it's a good metaphor on what life would be without free will. When people say why the bad things happen, watch The Giver and you'll start to understand. And so, like, even babies being born, it's like part of a job. Like, set group of women, they'll be the birthers, and so the babies are raised to a certain point.
Okay.
And so it's not like you can't just go play and buy toys and go to Toys R Us, but for your growth and development, you're given one comfort object.
Oh.
And so you might get a stuffed animal, and that's and that's how structured it is.
Okay.
It's even in things like, oh, this makes me happy. It's like, this is your comfort object.
Oh.
So it's like,
yeah. So the security blanket. I think blankets are common for that comfort object, not just in The Giver, but in life. And I'm sure if you didn't have one, you knew someone who had one, or you saw someone who had one. Children usually have security blankets, and
I've never had one.
Can't be separated from their security blanket. No, none of my kids had,
or none of us were given one.
None of my kids had any security.
Yeah,
had security blankets.
We learned how to thrive and survive, though.
But I wanted to tell you, when you just said you had such a rough night last night.
Yeah, it was rough.
Isaiah 28:20. It's talking. The title is called "Woe to the Leaders," and it's go and read it. It's not Walk Through Thursday, so we're not going to walk through it. But the line is, "The blanket too narrow to wrap around you," and
that was me last night.
Yeah, I believe the line before it is the bed too short to stretch out or something, and the blanket too narrow. And it was just, you reminded me.
Hey, see, it's still applicable today. This Bible verses
applicable. So applicable and inexplicable. You said unexplainable. It could be a word, I don't know, but I think it's inexplicable.
The unexplained.
The applicable and explicable.
The applicable and explicable.
Do you know what a blanket party is?
Whoa.
I know. It sounds good, but it's bad.
It sounds like down in Florida, they have those little village parties of the old people that are a little promiscuous.
No. A blanket party. It's a military term. It was in Full Metal Jacket. Did you see Full Metal Jacket?
No. Come on. What do I look like? A movie buff?
You look like someone who knows, the Peanuts. Maybe you would know Full Metal Jacket.
I wasn't allowed to watch the violence.
Remember, I was always calling something Full Metal Jacket. What was I always? And I'd always say, "Oh."
Yeah, I know.
Is it the video game? What's the military video game y'all play?
Call of Duty?
Maybe I would always say
there was an old game we played when we were like 8.
And I'd always call it Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah, I forget. All
right. So a blanket party is a military term. It's a hazing.
Oh, I know. Wait, is it where they put bars of soap in the blanket?
People hold the blanket over you.
They hold the blanket down tight, and then you get like a pillowcase filled with like soap and
socks, anything. You start beating the person.
You beat the person, usually in this area, so you don't show any kind of.
Well, how would they know where they're beating if you were in the blanket? Are you laying on your back?
Yeah, when you're sleeping. I mean, you know where your head is, you know where your legs are, but it's like it's you try to get them where.
Yeah, I'm laughing, but it's terrible.
Yeah, it's awful.
It's terrible, but it's supposed to not be done anymore, but I'm pretty sure it's still done, especially in the Marines, where they try to make team building, where the one person will be punished if you whatever it compromise the team.
Anytime you get a bunch of testosterone filled men in an area, you will inadvertently have that, but I do think we do much better now.
Yeah, I'm sure.
With everything. I mean, you see it with frats, you see it with the military. They have really cracked down on what is acceptable and what's not, and will things leak through the cracks? Are we perfect? No.
Right. So that's the bad part of a blanket. And then a good part of a blanket is a prayer blanket, which churches have these get-togethers where you all work on I think a square of the blanket.
Yeah.
And then
like a quilt.
I guess like a quilt. That reminds me, are you going to QUILTCON?
QUILTCON, I haven't missed it.
February 22nd, put it in your calendar. We're going to Phoenix for QUILTCON.
Phoenix, Arizona?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's always somewhere else. Know that.
I've never been to Phoenix.
Right, but you've been to QUILTCON.
Well, yeah, because last year it was in
I don't know.
Guadalupe.
Maybe it was canceled.
Oh, QUILTCON canceled?
Well, because of the other thing.
They canceled QUILTCON?
So the prayer blanket, you all work on it, and then at the end you put it all together, you bless it, and then I guess you give it to someone in your parish.
That's sweet.
Who needs a prayer blanket. But let me not keep giving you blankets. We could talk about blankets, the definition, like weighted blankets and blankets of snow and fire blankets. We could do this. But
you don't want to do that.
Do you have anything you want to tell about
I look like I'm about to be ascended into heaven, don't I?
You do. And your shadow, too, of your hand.
The Assumption of Spencer.
Yeah, so I don't know. Do you have I know you don't have a security blanket like that you bring around with you like Linus, but do you have some kind of spiritual security blanket? Or can someone get somebody? Can one get one?
Well, right. I think a blanket's a fun term. It's a fun word for Walk Through Thursday. I'm not sure
Walk Through Thursday.
Whatever. One Word Wednesday. Whatever Wednesday. I think it can just be attributed to spirituality in general and having faith. And I'm going to tell you why. A lot of times we talk about spiritual winters where you feel away and stuff, away from the Lord and
cold.
And we don't ever talk about what, like, something, a metaphor to what keeps you warm. And having spirituality is in those cold nights. The more you emphasize on having a relationship with God, you build that blanket, and it keeps it'll get cold, but you stay warm. And then on the opposite, a lot of times I feel like if you have like an unfulfilled life, and I'm not saying there's not real things you can do, but a big part of it is working on the spirituality first. Because yesterday I was tossing and turning with my tiny little blanket, and that might be the passive spirituality like we talked about before, where it's like, what, am I not doing enough?
Right.
And it's like, yeah, you have a blanket, like
right.
You understand that you want a blanket to sleep, but it's like you need to have enough. And
right.
Also, once again, this will go back to the spiritual winters, right? is there are times when you're feeling good. There's those spiritual summers that it's like you're happy, everything's working out, and you might need less. And it's and so it like you need to understand that like just because you have a sheet in the summer and it's working out, it's like that blanket in the summer would have been just fine. Right. I would have been fine.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people, they get to these winters, or if something happens in your life and you don't have that big comforter to fall back on, right? Like it's like you had just made enough spirituality for yourself. You just had enough of a relationship with God to get you through warm spring spiritual nights. And it's like you were not preparing for when something happens to challenge your faith or to challenge your room temperature, Right. And a blanket is so important. It's so important in those nights for comfort also. Talk about comfort blanket.
It reminds me of how I just said a prayer blanket are made square by square. And then you're talking about make your spirituality blanket big. And it like made me visualize that you could always be adding squares to your own blanket. So the Bible's the Christmas story, which is December, and we're doing Christmas stuff. Jesus was not wrapped in a blanket. Baby Jesus.
Baby G.
The little newborn king.
I guess it could be Baby G. Capital G.
He was wrapped in what? Swaddling clothes or swaddling cloths.
Yeah.
And it's kind of important why it's not that he was wrapped in a blanket. Why wasn't he wrapped in a blanket? A blanket is a better thing to wrap a baby in. Swaddling cloths. I know the answer.
Oh, you know all the answers today.
Swaddling cloths are strips.
Yeah.
Think of like gauze, but like
a mummy wrap.
Yeah, mummy wrap.
Yeah.
And so that is something to consider, and we don't have to consider it today. But it wasn't a full square of a blanket. It was strips. And it's funny you should say mummy wrap, because I did read an interesting article that said swaddling clothes were something you would take on a journey in case someone died on the journey. You could wrap them and bring them back. So how interesting if the baby was wrapped in funeral cloth at his birth because he was predestined to die.
Whoa. Now, technically, we're all predestined to die. But I know what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, even at his birth, it was kind of hanging over his head.
It's here to fulfill a prophecy.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. But blankets.
Do you know that Michael Jackson had children?
Yeah, he named one of them Blanket. It
was a nickname. His real name is Prince Michael Jr. the Third or something like this. How could that be? He had to be the second. No, he had to be the first. Who cares? He called him Blanket because he's the baby he famously held over the rail.
Yeah, with a blanket over his head.
Yeah, and he was always have the blanket over his head because they were so famous.
Yeah.
They had to go out in public in masks. And not recently, but when the kid grew up, he said, "Please stop calling me.
Please stop calling me Blanket." Prince William Henry Jr.
Please stop calling me that.
Yeah. I can't imagine it's easy growing up named Blanket. But I also can imagine that's probably easy growing up with millions and millions of dollars. But
you're a wet blanket.
Hey, listen, we're not here for material wealth. We're here for spiritual wealth.
That's right.
We're not here to have the nicest bed. We're here to have the nicest spiritual blanket.
That's right.
Try to show me a winter that won't get that my blanket won't get me through.
And you can share your spiritual blanket.
Ain't that the truth? The bigger it gets, the more you have to use.
That's right.
And yeah, I think that's a big thing. I mean, I made a little comparison because of the sheet versus the blanket.
Yeah.
And I think it goes to show the importance of, back to always talking about that spiritual winter and spiritual summer. And I know it can be hard. Just imagine I can imagine it's actually hard to knit a quilt in July.
Right.
Because you have no motivation.
Right.
And I think there should be an active and conscious effort being put to make spiritual blankets in those times when you are feeling good. Put them in your closet.
Yeah.
So, so that when the winter comes, it's, haha, I knew I had this
Right.
quilt for a reason.
You're right.
And you're not tossing and turning. But that's blankets. Go get yourself a comfort blanket. I don't know what to tell
Well,
you.
you need to go get yourself an actual blanket from the story that you told.
Yes. Maybe I'll go to Home Goods today.
There's so many blankets in this house. I don't know why you have to go anywhere.
I don't know. I kind of want like a nice looking bed.
No, you should get an army blanket, a wool army blanket.
I want like some feng shui in my room.
No, wool. We used to have them when I was little. The Army
Probably
Navy.
itchy.
They're itchy, but you put a sheet in between.
Ugh.
Wool is warm and it's naturally fire safe.
All right, guys. It's been fun for sure. Go wrap yourself up tightly in a blanket tonight and build your spiritual blanket, square by square. Till tomorrow, I bid you adieu.
Oh my God.